In this part of the world, you won't look up at the clouds in the sky, but you will see them floating beneath your feet as you cross the deepest gorge on Earth. In today's video, we will reveal how Guizhou province transformed from a prison of mountains into the world capital of bridges. We will dive behind the scenes of building the Huajiang Bridge, the highest in the world, and see how impossible engineering turned into the biggest tourist trap on Earth. You will discover secrets not mentioned in tourism brochures. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so we can continue exploring the wonders of our planet. Let's go! A mountain prison. Let's journey to a remote corner of China called Guizhou province, where the locals have a saying passed down through generations. There isn't a single flat area in this land that's 9/10 of a meter wide. And when they say this, they're not exaggerating at all. They're describing their harsh reality. Mountains and hills cover more than 90% of the province. There are no flat roads here, no level fields, and no easy paths connecting one town to another. The entire province seems as if nature's forces have seized the land and crumpled it like a crumpled piece of paper. Despite the captivating beauty that leads tourists to call it China's Switzerland, thanks to its breathtaking scenery and rich cultural heritage, there's a dark truth that tourist brochures don't mention. These mountains aren't just a work of art, they're a real prison. For centuries, the people of Guizhou lived in near total isolation from the rest of China. Bringing supplies in was virtually impossible, and getting their produce to market was even more difficult. Roads wound their way around the mountains for hours, covering distances visible to the naked eye in mere minutes. Imagine looking across a ravine and seeing a town just 1,000 meters away, yet requiring 2 hours of grueling mountain driving to reach it. This was the daily routine. Families were separated by geography, students couldn't reach better schools in neighboring areas, and farmers' crops perished before reaching the markets. Economic opportunities, just a few kilometers away, seemed to exist on another planet. The mountains not only made travel arduous, but also trapped entire generations in poverty. When the Chinese government looked at Guizhou, it saw millions of people trapped by its geography and made a decision that changed everything. 32,000 bridges. Here's a number to ponder. 32,000. That's the number of bridges China has built in Guizhou province alone, not even across the entire country. We're not talking about small bridges over streams, but colossal structures spanning deep valleys and ravines, allowing people to travel in straight lines instead of circling around mountains for hours. Among these 32,000 bridges, one stands out, literally towering above them all. It's the Huajiang Bridge, the highest bridge on Earth. If you stood at the bottom of the Huajiang Gorge and looked up, you'd see the bridge suspended 625 meters above your head. To put that in perspective, you'd have to climb to the top of China's tallest building to reach that height. It's so high that clouds sometimes float below the road level. The entire structure stretches 2,890 meters across the gorge. Before this bridge, crossing from one side to the other required 2 hours of driving through mountainous roads, navigating sharp turns and dangerous slopes. Now, the journey takes only 2 minutes. Yes, 2 hours have been reduced to 2 minutes. The mountain that stood in the way. But the bridge is only part of the story. To understand how far China was willing to go, you have to hear the story of the highway. The Huajiang Bridge is part of the Guizhou S7 Expressway, which stretches 15,000 meters across some of the most rugged terrain on the planet. And when I say crossed, I mean it literally. A massive, solid mountain stood in the way of the highway, forcing it to detour tens of thousands of meters further. But China didn't detour. It cut through the mountain. Engineers brought in explosives and giant drilling machines and carved a V-shaped gap into the heart of the solid rock, splitting the mountain in two. Today, the highway runs directly through that gap where the mountain was once a single mass. Consider the scale of this feat for a moment. Mountains take millions of years to form, and this one was split in two in just a few months. The amount of rock removed would fill thousands of Olympic-sized swimming pools, and the explosions shook nearby villages. All of this was done with meticulous engineering to ensure the stability and integrity of the remaining rock walls. The road now connects 14 different regions through a landscape that was once nearly impossible to traverse. At the end of this road, which cuts through fractured mountains, you reach a majestic suspension bridge 625 meters in the air.
Building the impossible. Engineers study the gorge for a distance of 5,000 to 10,000 meters upstream and downstream, searching for the ideal location. They needed rock strong enough to support towers weighing thousands of tons, taking into account the gorge wall's varying angles, wind patterns, seismic hazards, and many other variables. The final design settled on a 2,890-meter-long structure. Imagine 1,420 meters of the bridge deck suspended in the air, supported only by cables. The structure is based on a steel truss suspension design, and the steel frame consists of 93 separate units, weighing a total of 22 million kilograms. For comparison, the Eiffel Tower weighs 7.3 million kilograms, meaning the Huazhang Bridge weighs 3 times as much. The biggest challenge was assembling all that steel while it was suspended 625 meters above the bottom of the rocky gorge. The world's largest crane, the Big Car, is 250 meters long, meaning you would need to stack 3 of those cranes on top of each other to reach the top of this gorge. Instead, China used a cable-stayed crane. Imagine a thick steel cable stretched across the gorge from side to side, creating a kind of skyscraper. Workers attached sections of steel trusses to a cable-stayed trolley, which then glided the multi-million-kilogram steel section across the gorge to its precise position. The bridge was built from the center outwards, with engineers placing the central sections first and then simultaneously building to the sides to maintain balance. Workers used China's Beidou satellite navigation system to ensure every section was in its perfect place. Before construction began, engineers used virtual pre-assembly techniques, creating detailed computer simulations of the entire structure and practicing the construction process digitally. This allowed them to identify potential problems before lifting a single steel section into the air. Every nail, every weld, every joint had its paths pre-drawn,